All right, everybody. All right, we're live. Let's get the show started. I think we're going to have a good one today. All right, let's go. I'm ready. Right on. It's a Londo episode tonight. Right on. Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to the Coming of Shadows, the Babylon 5 retrospective. Hello and welcome, 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 welcome. This week, we're looking at episode 7 of season 2, Soulmates. But before we get started, I have to welcome my co-host. He is the plague to my pestilence. It's Cam. Say hello, Cam.
Good evening, loyal viewers.
Good evening, everyone. Yes, hello. So, Cam, how are things? How was your day? How are things going for you?
I am busy without noticeable progress on any given thing, so I feel like I'm spinning my wheels.
Oh no, well. I had a good day. I mean, I got a little bit of work done and stuff. I had my once monthly shower, so I'm feeling a little bit invigorated. Yeah.
So did you go out and roll around in the snow or what?
No. No, I just had a regular shower this time. Yeah. You know, I mean, you might say we're dirty or something like that, but I just have a shower every once a month, and the other days I just rub this solution on my skin. It takes off the first layer of dermis or so. It's invigorating as well. It kind of feels like you're being born again. But you got to be careful. Don't get into any orifices like mouth, nostrils, etc.
I think we should stop this discussion right here.
Yeah. That's all. Just letting everyone know how things are going. Right. All right. Shall we bring in the? Look at the chat. Always with the smart comments. Dave, of course. I shed my skin. Yes, like a lizard. Yeah.
By all means, bring in our.
All right, let's bring in our guests. Let's bring in Jeff and Jason,
co-hosts.
Gentlemen, good evening.
Our co-host.
Howdy.
Man, God.
Co-host. Did I call you co-host?
It's not just keeps negging you guys.
I know. It's been a week already, and he's forgotten.
It works with the chicks, so yeah. Co-panelists, yes.
Co-panelists,
I got to write that down. It's written down, but sometimes I don't check my card enough. I don't read it. Yeah. So, gentlemen, how are you? Jason, what's going on with you with the show?
Not much happening here, aside from.
Okay, well that's great. Good. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No,
say that. You say there's amazing things going on. Come on, you're not new at this game.
I didn't say amazing things going on.
Well, push it. You gotta build it up.
Okay, so.
I mean, I told everyone this is going to be a really great show, and
it is
really big shoe.
So okay, today we talked with some guys, Michael Gallagher and Nate Lapointe and JD Cowan. They've got a new anthology coming on Monday from Mist Creek Publishing. So we'll talk to them today. Friday, we're going to have Paul de Garabedian on with the August special. We're going to be talking about all of the movies that are coming out in August. And in the past what August has looked like, some of the stuff that we've gotten in August and before. Outside of that, it's just doctor's visits and trying to catch up, cutting grass in the garden. So
Yeah. Volume on your chat saying your volume's a little low, Jason.
oh, it is
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit.
typical.
All right. Jeff.
Hey, what's up? Did I blow your ears out? Sorry. Let's see what's been going on. Let's see. Chubby Funster's Kickstarter went live yesterday. Forgot to mention that in the chat today on the show. But let's see. Other than that, just mostly work and trying to cram in some B5 in between. Looking forward to a bunch of discussion tonight on this one because I think it's kind of an interesting episode. So
I agree. I kind of like it. If you want to drop that link for that Kickstarter, you can, Jason.
Huh.
All right, let's dive right into it. First, let's look at the trivia answers for last week's from last week's show. Let's get those done, and then we'll jump right into it. All right, let's take a look. Last week. All right, so for which corporation does Taro Isogi work for? For Future Corp, that's the best corp. I worked for them myself for a little while. Great benefits. Future Corp, it's the way to go. What is Garibaldi's third favorite thing? Tea, of course. Tea. Tea is much lower on my list of favorite things. But, well, Garibaldi.
it's a necessity for me. I'd die.
What is the Black Ops project that created Abel Horn? It was called Lazarus, of course. Great name.
Come forth.
What does Abel Horn say right before killing Isogi? He yells, "Free Mars!" because
Free Mars.
We all agree.
Free Mars.
And what is the secret government group Sheridan heard rumors about?
The one that we'll never hear about again.
Never hear about it again. Apparently, that's what I'm.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Bureau 13, but maybe they changed their name. People change passwords every 3 months.
Yeah. Well, the OSS became the CIA, so yeah.
That's true. That's true. You got to change those things. So that's the last week's trivia. All right, Cam, do you want to kick us off with this? Let's jump right into it. Let's kick us off with this episode. Oh, should we say hello to whoever's in the chat first?
Yes. There's a bunch of folks out there.
There are. My little thing says there's 14 people watching the show right now live. That's awesome. Great. Let's see who's in the chat. Q2 Cast, Madman's in the chat. James is in the chat. Welcome. Who else? Dave. Dave is in the chat, of course. Good to see you again, Dave.
Hi, Dave.
Who else? Is that it? That's all the people who are. Oh, Jeanette Buffington is in the chat. We all know who that is.
I don't know who is that.
Everybody
Jeanette.
Who's that? I don't know any
Hello.
Jeanette Buffington. What are you talking about?
Of course, that's Jason's wife.
Oh, okay.
Right. Umbra's just jumped in. All right, good to see you. And anyone else who's lurking, welcome. That's fine. You can lurk, no problem. All right. Cam, let's go. Let's jump right in. Give us the short summary, and I'll give us the long one.
On this episode,
Sure. Season 2, episode 7.
One, welcome. Sorry, Shadow 01, welcome. I think that's a new person.
Oh,
I'm seeing before. Right on. Okay,
cool.
Sorry, go
Carry
ahead.
on, Cam.
My mistake.
Season 2, episode 7, Soulmates, episode 29 overall, written by Peter David, original air date December 14th, 1994, and production 208, so one off from the air date. It was
Yeah.
so, but they've been pretty close.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Londo's 3 wives arrive on the station. Delenn seeks Ivanova's help in adjusting to her new human characteristics, and Talia's ex-husband, a fellow Psychor telepath, arrives on the station with an intriguing story.
All right. Okay, I'll jump right into it. Just a little more detail, just in case you've watched the show. Maybe it was a long time ago. Maybe you forgot. Maybe you didn't watch the show. There's really 2 maybe 3 arcs going on, and there's a little teaser thing, which I don't even know if I want to call it. I'll mention that one first. There's a little bit during the episode where people are asking. Jakar asks Sheridan how he's doing, how he's fitting into the job, and he gets kind of a little pissy about it and says, "Why do people keep asking me that?" So, I mean, it's not really an arc or nothing, but it's just mentioned. I'm not sure if they're going to build on it later, but it just kind of jumps out as sort of being there.
Well,
but anyway,
so did
I just thought
Londo.
I mentioned it.
They both did.
Oh, Lionel did too. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and then the next sort of least important little arc going on is Delin is dealing with her human half. She goes to Ivanova for some help. She's got some problems with her hair. And at the very end of the episode, there's also she's got some strange ailments that she doesn't know about, and asks about that. And Ivanova sort of looks away and doesn't want to explain it to her. Anyway, I'll get rid of those out of the way. Those are the 2 sort of minor things. So the main ones, as Cam mentioned, is Londo's wives show up. He has invited them there to the station to talk to him for some reason. And Talia's ex shows up. So we start the episode with Veer in I don't know, customs, whatever, waiting, and he picks up one of the wives, and she's very abrasive and abrupt with him. Tells him, "Let's go. I want to see my husband." I get the impression that he was waiting for the other wives as well. He was expecting all 3 of them. And only she comes, and she basically bullies him, and he has to take her there, sort of failing in his job because he's supposed to escort all 3 of them. He takes her to the room, Londo's quarters, and of course, Londo's not there. He's off drinking and carousing and buying drinks for everybody. He's really, really happy. And they wait for the other wives there to show up, and one does pretty immediately. Meanwhile, we see this guy show up, who we find out his last name is Stoner. And Garibaldi sees him, and he's kind of a little bit suspicious about him. He is talking to somebody, and the guy's kind of irate, and then the guy sort of changes his tune really quick and is nice to him. And it kind of piques Garibaldi's interest. Garibaldi follows him around a little bit. He's trying to sell some artifacts. He's trolling Garibaldi at the time. Oh, sorry, I've jumped a little bit ahead. He mentions it to Sheridan about this guy. He's a little bit suspicious. I looked him up. There's something funny about him. They happen to mention, check on this guy, and Talia is there at the time because Sheridan wants to talk to her, and they mention his name. You check on this Stoner guy, and Talia goes, "Stoner? Is it Matt Stoner?" And they're like, yeah. How do you know him? And she says, "He's my ex-husband." Yeah. So interesting. And then again, of course, Stoner is selling this artifact. Garibaldi's following around, asking questions. He's kind of trolling Garibaldi, giving him a bit of a hard time. He seems pretty confident with himself, not too worried. Meanwhile, Londo is happy. He finally gets all his wives together, and he mentions to them that he, in honor of his Ascension Day, which has been 30 years, we're not sure what that is, but I assume it's sort of ascension to becoming, an adult so that he can work in government or do whatever it is. In honor of that, the emperor has granted him one wish that he can grant, and what Londo has asked for is a divorce from all his wives. So, but of course, he's decided that he still needs a wife. The emperor's told him, "Hey, you still need a wife to do stuff, as part of your duties. So just divorce 2 of them." And he's very happy. He's like, "All right, I'm going to divorce 2 of you. And you're going to get nothing. And, now compete for my love, so to speak, because I haven't decided who it's going to be yet." All 3 wives are quite different. And we'll talk about that. It's kind of interesting. I like that part. Meanwhile, Stoner has been Sheridan is a little bit concerned about Talia, that she doesn't seem to be happy with this guy. She tells a little bit of the story about Stoner. He doesn't sound like a great guy, but he finally he gets to Talia and says, "Hey, do you want to be free of Psychor? The reason that we find out Stoner has left Psychor, is supposedly not in Psychor." And she's like, I never understood how you did that. He says, it's because I lost my telepathic abilities. And he's like, what? That's impossible. I took something, and it's risky, but I lost them, and you could do it too. You come with me, and I will get you away from Psychor, which she's kind of interested in. And Garibaldi's been sweet on her. He sort of twins to her and talks to her, make sure she's okay. She's kind of short with him, basically tells him to buzz off. She's kind of rude to him. Meanwhile, Londo is he's having his ascension party, and from
barefoot. Everybody's got to be barefoot.
Everyone's got to be barefoot. While that's going on, people are giving him gifts, and one of the gifts is given by his third wife to him, and it is the artifact that Stoner was trying to sell legally on the station. And she gives it to Londo, and 2 darts come out of the eyes and hit him in the head, and he has to go into the med lab. And the doc says, he's everything of his is elevated. He might not make it. He's burning up. I guess they don't have ice. Can give him an ice bath. Eventually, though, one of his wives, the first one, gives him a blood transfusion and swears the doctor to secrecy. Don't tell him that I did it. I was the one who gave him the blood transfusion. That's fine. And that saves his life. Londo then decides, jumping ahead a little bit, Londo then decides that he will keep his first wife, that one who gave him the blood transfusion, which he doesn't know about, to be his wife, and he divorces the other 2 because, in his words, with her, I know where I stand. The other 2 wives are nice to him and pretend to like him, and she treats him with disdain all the time.
Well, they're both kind of trying to pander to him, but we'll talk about that.
The other 2 are trying to pander, and then, back to the Stoner situation. Talia decides to she then goes, she's talking to Stoner. She initially sort of thought about going with him. He confronts her again and says, hey, and she says, no, I changed my mind. I'm not going. He then looks at her and says, I wanted you to do this on your own, but if I have to, I'll do it the other way. And he looks at her and she says, oh, okay, yeah, I'll go with you. And he does the same thing to the guard. I think it was Lou. Was it Lou Walsh?
Yeah, it was Lou. Lou is back.
Fan favorite Lou Walsh. And he goes, oh, go make sure our shuttle's ready. He goes, okay. Off he goes. So obviously Stoner has some sort of abilities. We find out he's an empath. He is at some sort of mind control, it seems. They don't explain it too well. But Garibaldi, they devise a way. They make sure that she doesn't go. They confront Stoner. They say, hey, we think you still work for Psychor. You never left. This is all some sort of scam. And he, of course, denies everything, he doesn't even really deny it. But he doesn't confirm it. They arrest him, and he then Psychor comes. Hey, we want this guy. He's coming with us, and it's very, very fast. He doesn't get much time to. It changes very quick, so it's very obvious that he's involved with Psychor. And that's pretty much both of the 2 main threads. He's obviously a Force user. Yeah, he's got mind control or something like that. And that's it. Cam, did I miss anything? And you want to start off the?
I think that's accurate.
Before we get into the discussion, I must need to let people know I'm behind an episode. I thought I was caught up, and you guys are talking about the one.
That's something you don't know.
I haven't seen it yet, so I'm like, well, I probably should not.
Kick Jason. Kick him.
Hey, just a second here. Let me.
Yeah, I should probably wait for this one because I haven't seen this episode yet.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
Well,
well,
you're
it'll
not
good to get your thoughts on.
you're not missing a lot on this one.
Oh, this is a great
I didn't like
episode.
Last week's was pretty good. I was all ready for that one. I was like, hey, Adrian Barbeau, I'm all set, but I guess I'm behind a week.
Well, you know what, Snob, this is your call, but do you want to give Jason a 5-minute segment to give his thoughts on last week, just to catch
No,
up?
that's okay. That's okay. You guys,
No,
you
that
guys
would-
go ahead because I've got some other stuff that I need to catch up on anyway. So I can bow out and just listen to you guys talk.
You don't have to bow. You can
Well,
stay
I
if you
don't
like.
have anything. I don't have anything to contribute because I haven't seen the episode yet.
All right, well then get to hell. In that case, I try to be nice.
Yeah, but he actually is here. I would love to hear his 5-minute.
I'm
I
kind
know.
of curious too.
What-
You want to give us a
what's-
quick?
What's the audience say? What's the audience think? Do we want to hear what he thought of last week?
And my
Q2
microphone
says, "Hey, I did my homework."
well,
They're dissing them in the chat. Oh no.
I'm playing nursemaid to somebody recovering from back surgery, so I got a
Oh
little
right,
bit of
Mindy.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the
Alrighty.
way, we do have a date revision surgery on the 14th.
They're gonna go
So
screw
we will
things
be-
back in,
Yeah,
fix their loose screws.
yeah. Hopefully, I don't know. I'm wondering if her bone density is going to be enough to actually hold on to it. We may have to do something really different. I
Mm.
don't know. I'm worried, but yeah, I've been a little behind on a lot of different things. So, as far as that particular episode goes, I thought it was nice that we had some movement on the Psycor stuff. It was good to see, it was good to see Bester back. And the fact that Franklin is the guy running the
Whoa.
What?
You're talking about next week's episode.
next week.
Yeah,
What?
you're talking about episode 8.
Oh,
What?
you're right.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Whoa.
You
Stop.
skipped an episode.
No, I didn't.
I'm
skip
like,
it. The rest of
Bester.
it-
I don't remember
Hold
seeing
on.
Bester last
No,
week.
that's next week's episode.
All right.
Quiet.
Well, you guys talk about where I'm at, 'cause
Are you sure you got the right? You skipped
I
one.
watched. We watched 2 episodes just the other day. What did I see? Hold on. Let me.
You didn't watch the one
Should
about
be,
the
should
3
be
wives?
Spider in the Web.
I didn't see the one with the wives. No. So I
Okay,
thought
so-
maybe I was. How did I miss
skipped
that
one.
one?
Did you see the one with the Martian assassin?
Let me look. Where we at? I saw Spider
That
in the
was
Web.
Spider.
So
Okay.
Spider in the
Martian
Web.
assassin.
That's the
Well,
assassin.
that was last week's.
Okay. Somehow I skipped Soulmates then.
Yeah, you did.
Chad is laughing at this.
Well, everybody got a little preview for next week.
I
Next
didn't
week's
know that
episode
Bester
has
was in
Bester
next
it.
week's episode.
Yeah, he is. He is. Bester's in next week's episode. So
Don't spoil it.
Okay, so
that's all I'll say.
I'm off. I'm off a week the wrong way.
Yeah.
Gee, I'm sorry.
They had the Isoga.
How did that skip? Because it goes from one episode to the next in order. How did I miss? How did it skip?
Well,
it?
they did
Right on the top
this
of the
was-
thing,
This was filmed. This was filmed like before or whatever.
Maybe you were watching it in production order.
I wouldn't think so.
Oh, Dave's covering for you there, Jason.
Oh, okay, all right. See,
He watched the wrong episode
Dave to
too.
the rescue.
because we did the long dart. I watched Spider in the Web.
Yeah, that's what we talked
and then,
about last
and
week.
then just next episode, and it went, it skipped one.
Yeah.
I'll have to go back and look because Amazon Prime has flipped it again to where you're having to pay for the access, the rental. So I've watched it this past weekend. I watched them on Roku.
Okay,
Was it Roku? So maybe they got them out of order. I don't know. I'll have to go back and look.
maybe.
All right.
Maybe.
My apologies to everybody. I'm sorry.
Speaking of you can get the DVD box set. I saw it at Walmart for $47.98. So I bought the last one that was there
Good.
before,
Didn't you get?
and they've
weren't
obviously
you saying you got
restocked.
the Superman, the Superman kit?
I did. I picked up the Superman 1 through 5. In
There
it.
is no 1 through 5. There's not a 5.
Well, according to this, there is. I don't know. I don't have it down here with me.
There's Superman. There's Superman 2. There's Donner Cut. Superman 3. Superman 4. The Quest for Peace.
And then there's
Superman Returns.
Then there's an episode. There's a fifth movie on that, and I know it's not the current one that's out. So Superman Returns, yeah,
It would have to be Superman Returns.
it is.
But that's not a Chris Reeve movie.
I don't know. It was on the disc or in the. I haven't opened the package yet.
All right, the
Yeah.
Superman show was last week.
Oh, was it? I missed it.
All right.
Top Lofty Lounge, Sunday nights at 10 Central.
That's right.
right.
That's right.
Channel.
Good,
So
good.
so the guy that comes from the Free Mars guy and all that, yeah. What'd you think of that episode?
That one was pretty solid, except I was not too keen on the whole "you must pay the rent" B plot. I thought that was kind of silly.
No,
it reminded me of a.
you must pay the rent.
Yeah,
What do
you
you
know,
mean by
because the senior officers had to pay rent.
No. So that's Bester's episode.
What?
That's the Bester episode.
I'm leaving.
All right, reboot, and come back next week.
Bye.
I was
All
when I
right.
was watching this episode. All right, see you later, Jason. When I was watching this episode, it ended, and I let it go a little before turning it off, and I went to the beginning of
Oh,
that whole thing came in. Yeah,
that's why I watched them like only a day or before or the day of, just to make sure.
All right, should we
all right.
start again?
Start
All right,
again.
welcome to.
My
Kim,
goodness.
tell us about the episode. Give us the
What a
one.
bunch of,
I was gonna.
you
I was
get
gonna.
what you pay for.
Yeah, I was just gonna confirm that you basically had the two storylines there, with Londo's wives and then the stoner Psychor thing.
There is a point with which they touch, which I think we'll get into.
Okay, sure.
Of
course, yeah.
I will also, if I could, start out by saying that an empath is someone who experiences
Feels your feelings.
or detects other people's feelings. What he was displaying was not empathy. It was more akin to hypnosis or suggestion. Yeah.
Yeah.
The old Jedi mind trick. Or projecting.
Gentlemen, look, this is a tough start. I'm going to start drinking right now.
Well, that's your real problem. Is you were supposed to start drinking about a half hour before the show.
It's Appleton's rum, the signature stuff. Good stuff.
Okay, we've lost all of most of our viewers, I think now.
Did we?
Everybody's
Scared them
gone.
off.
Okay, all right, let's get back on track.
Try.
Okay, here we go. Londo's storyline. Let's do that.
Start with
All
Londo.
right.
He's they show him at the beginning where he's even for Londo in a very good mood, right? I mean, he's
Oh, yeah.
he's
buying drinks
celebrating
for
right with all his friends. Yeah, usually he's stiffing people for drinks, and this time he's buying.
Poor Vier is dealing with.
Yeah, but he's also even nice to Jakar. When Jakar is talking to Sheridan, and then Londo comes in, and then he's kind of
Tells me skinny or whatever.
yeah, he's looking fit or something,
Mhm.
which is fine. And then we find out quickly what it is because of his impending divorces. So would make a man like him very happy, I suppose. And then
the reference we don't see it in this episode, but he refers to his three wives in an earlier episode as was it famine, pestilence, and death, or is it
Yeah, and then he's
plague, pestilence, and death? But anyway,
some people say he's war, but I don't get that.
I don't
I
think
don't
he
know.
said.
No, but some people say and he's war. So
Oh, he's war. Oh, right.
yeah,
interesting.
but that was just a AI overview.
Well, so we see various interactions with the wives,
Right.
Hold on, Cam. I'm gonna bring in Q2.
Okay.
Madman. All right, you can take Jason's. The B team is here,
Substituting for Jason.
taking over. All right, let's keep going. Sorry, Madman, you don't get any intro or anything.
That's okay.
Just carry on.
Okay. It's not my leg. It's the air hose.
That's right.
Yes.
Go ahead.
I don't have a whole lot to say about it. I mean, you see kind of their different interactions, and there was one that was kind of struck me as funny. Is one of his wives, I think the youngest one by appearances,
Mariel.
Yeah,
Mhm.
she was she came across
She's like the doctor, but with men.
yeah, she came across Sheridan and was giving him the eye,
Oh,
and Londo's like, whoa.
really? Oh,
So I thought the wives were great. I thought they
Oh, yeah.
fit in. They don't fit in like they're not like a caricature per se, but they fit in very well with what you'd expect. Like a person of Londo's stature and an old time aristocrat to be, right? His first wife is, I would guess, would be probably from a
Highbrow.
youngest. They would have married him off to some other family that is the right stature, the same level, right? So she's got, she's probably used to all the same stuff that he is and the same level. So she doesn't have any respect for him because he's always carousing and womanizing and stuff. And, she has her own money and power and that kind of thing. So she doesn't give a crap about him, and she's happy to tell him exactly what she thinks about him. And then the second wife is said to be political, like very knowledgeable about politics and what's going on in the court. So she's probably a climber and probably
Gold
like
digger.
latched onto Londo and
Gold digger.
stroked his ego and stuff in order to get where
Mhm.
to get married to him, but also because she likes to move in those circles.
She's a material Centauri girl.
I don't know if she's material as much as she. I mean, I think she is, but I don't think that's her primary motivator. It's her, it's to be, to be seen and to be in that level of that stratosphere of status sort of thing.
Well,
and then the third wife is obviously the best looking one and the sexiest one. And as she goes and talks to Sheridan, and Sheridan's like, "Oh, hi." He's like a little puppy. And then Londo pulls Sheridan aside, like Ken was saying, and not saying, "Hey, get your eyes off my wife." He says,
No.
"Listen, she's like attracted to men of power,
A moth
like
to a flame, basically.
moth to a flame, except that
She's the one who'll burn you.
she's gonna burn you." So he's not upset that he's flirting or anything. Just that, watch out, buddy. Like, I'm doing you a solid here. Keep away from my wife.
I think it's funny. He says, "We'll talk later."
Yeah,
we'll talk later. Like, and there's a reference later on where he's sort of implying that she, oh well, what about like that she was cheating on him and was off, spending her time with powerful men when he wasn't around or whatever.
right.
Okay, I mean,
which makes sense, fits. But the difference between the three of them, and they're not just sort of like caricatures or they're quite different personalities, and they all seem to fit in with what you'd sort of think. Londo would have his first wife that was forced to marry her, and then the second wife would come on, and she was probably all over him, and he was like, "Wow, this is great! Finally, a woman who likes me, unlike my present wife who hates me." And then the third wife would have been, very young and very, sexy, and would probably have turned his head, and he probably would have fallen all over with her. Famine, pestilence, and death. Is that what the?
Yep.
Yeah, I can see T-Mauve is famine, or you could call her cold of some type.
Well,
Yeah.
the wives. Remember, they were mentioned before in what is it? The War Prayer,
right?
If you remember that. And
they
did have a picture of them, but it's not the actresses in the picture are not the same actresses that are playing his three wives in this episode.
Yeah.
Not a surprise.
I talked about those three a lot. I want you guys to, people ever.
So I think they were, the one girl, even though she was speaking with a haughty, aristocratic type of English accent, reminded me very much of like a Daphne.
T-Mauve, the first one.
And one of them was almost like a like you thought she was on stage. She was one of those kind of actresses. It was just kind of it worked for the episode, in my opinion. I think the three of them were different and unique enough. And the irony is that the one that was the least interested in Londo is the one that saved his life.
Now there was almost a fourth. Remember
the girl
if you go back into season, I think it's season 1.
Mm-hmm.
Season 1, yeah.
Can you hear me properly?
Yes.
Yeah,
you're a little low, but
little low.
Okay,
But
I gotta bring it up.
you mean she was a dancer or something, right?
The dance, and he goes, Londo.
But she was very young.
But most people don't realize what happened to that wife. They actually annulled the wedding on that one because that was in his younger days.
Oh, there was another one, but
Yes.
okay.
Yes. Yeah, that was the one. Londo and Garibaldi were talking. What was it? It can't be that bad.
He regaled him with a story about how he got married when he was 21 or something.
Yeah.
When he was really young.
But,
I think that fits in so well with how I see Londo's aristocratic society and the way that he fits into it, and these women sort of perfectly fit with, even being, the first, second, and third wife, why he would, go for those ones.
Sure.
Kind of like, you know what? It kind of, I don't want to get, kind of reminds me of Trump, right? His first wife is really good with business, helped him out. The second wife is is like the fling, and that he likes that really, after
the mother of his eldest children.
Yeah, the first one is, and then the second one is like, oh, she's young and she's a model and stuff, and the last one is, of course, even bigger model. But anyway,
but I do find it, and I kind of knew. I had not seen this episode before tonight, so I did. This was a clean watch for me, and I knew which one he was going to pick.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it exactly for the reason why he said. The other two were because Londo's not dumb, and the other two were overly invested in trying to please him to keep their status, their stature, and the money, keep the money coming. And the other one was like, I would just be done with you and not have anything to do with you, but she was also honorable and is the one who went to the doctor and said, look, I've debated about this. I have lots of reasons to let him die, but I don't want to win that way. So she's got ethics. She's got her own moral code. So, that was, and I kind of got that feeling from her because she was kind of cold to him and kind of just like offstandish. She, she was the epitome of the king that, the would-be king that has to marry the princess, or the prince that has to marry the princess, but the prince doesn't really love the princess. He's got concubines or what have you. And that you very much got that feeling that's what their relationship was. Maybe Prince Charles and Diana, where they were just kind of, it was a thing, or other weddings. But that was my, but yet, like I said, she was the one who gave him the blood transfusion and saved his life. But she said, look, I'm going to do this on one condition, that you don't tell Londo how you managed to get the transfusion. So I thought that was kind of, and for valid reason, because she didn't think that either one of them wanted to deal with the, what would you call it, Cam? The act that they would have to go through, the rigmarole of trying to be gracious about it and all this stuff and benevolent, and she's like, I don't want to deal with that. She's just like,
anyone who's married knows that marriage isn't about love, it's about duty, and she seems to understand that, right? It's
Maybe I don't.
Well, she said that she didn't want to win like that, so there
Right.
was some selfishness in there too. I mean, her act wasn't selfish, but her motivation, or at least what she was saying,
Yeah, we don't know.
she was couching it like that. I think it probably was a little more benevolent than she wanted to let on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
she probably had some sort of feeling, if not directly for him. I mean, they probably was she the one? Was she his longest wife?
yeah, she's the first wife, I think.
Yeah. So
Now,
what do you think, Madman?
Now understand, Timon, even though she's out this, yeah, the writer of this episode, Peter David, the late Peter David, wrote a novel that continues her story later on called Out of Darkness, where they reconcile in the end on her deathbed.
Does that take place? In what time frame does that take place?
That I don't. It's supposed to be well into the future.
Okay, so past the end of the series.
They're past the end of 5. Yeah, it's supposed to be past the end of 5.
Yeah.
So
what about while we're talking about the wives? What did you guys think of Jakar and Muriel there near the end?
Yeah.
I was gonna get there, but I didn't know if there was somebody else wanted to say something about other stuff first. I have a sneaky suspicion that the two of them were in cahoots, working together to try and take Lando out. Well, I think Jakar has some feelings.
I think it was maybe more than cahoots and a little into the canoodling zone there.
I think that may have been very much Muriel. It was implied that she is a honey trap or a honey pot or whatever.
Yeah, they mentioned that, and then Jakar is in his bedroom wear.
Right.
She wasn't, though. She was dressed normally, so they kind of didn't make that a firm connection. But
and we know that Jakar likes to
alien
dabble
ladies
in the other races.
Yeah. We did hear them, the ladies, one of them called another one a bitch, which was kind of very it was like, whoa, okay, wow.
And I think I was going to say Muriel, I think she's a good choice for the actress because the way she's acting, plus she kind of is obviously attractive even with her her bald head and her hair. She kind of oozes sexuality a little bit compared to the other two anyway. So
remember Jakar saying, "I warn you, Marielle, do not be overconfident. If I were married to Lando Mollari, I'd be concerned." And what was Marielle's response?
Yeah.
Jakar, if you were married to Lando Mollari, would be all concerned.
He says, if I could figure it out, he could as well.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
So he's implying that she tried to kill him, and that not necessarily that Jakar was in on it, but that he knows about it anyway. I mean, I guess I would assume he probably, but I don't know. You think that Jakar wants to kill Lando now? I would suspect, based on what's been going on beforehand, like he's suspicious.
Or do you think you think that
he's suspicious of Lando, right? But I think he would not want to kill him because he'd want to find out more about what Lando's got going on before he kill him.
The artifact. You got to remember, the artifact is sort of a bouncing Betty, as you would say, is a landmine.
Yeah.
Between the Centauri and the Narn, that the Narns would leave behind for the Centauri onto that situation, and that was briefly mentioned in the episode.
Well, and if we're going to go there, you look at the where it was acquired or how it was acquired by whom, and what we come to learn about him when we discuss that. He was having it appraised, and of course that's when Garibaldi confronted him the first time, I think. And later on, when we see her go shopping, she sees that artifact and acquires it from him. So it, from the merchant who had been appraising it, this rare Centauri artifact. And then, of course, that's one of the presents that he opens up. So it's almost as if it was planted deliberately so that it would pass through certain hands.
But then why would, I mean, how would you ever know for sure that she could get it? Someone else could have bought it.
Yeah.
Also, why would, like, well, we don't know. If Psychor are, if Londo's getting in bed with the Shadow, and if Psychor are in bed with the Shadow, why would they want to kill Londo? Of course, if Psychor's not in bed with the Shadow, then maybe they would want to kill their enemies. But
I don't think that's
equal guys to me.
I don't think that's established in the episode at all.
No, it isn't. I'm completely.
No. What I mean is what Jeff was talking about.
Okay.
That it was, that it was put there specifically to go after Londo. I don't think that
for her to find, and then.
Yeah, there's too many dots not connected there in my opinion.
Well, I mean, Jakar postulates how interesting. How interesting is that someone would have no knowledge that this was a booby-trapped item, yet and would give it as a gift to her husband.
She's a girl,
though.
That's a good point. That's a fair point.
Yeah, he's suspicious.
Remember, if he dies, they get everything.
Yeah. But if Stoner brought it specifically to give to, so that it could go to Londo and he could get killed,
that's
he would have sold it directly to her, not put it to some guy, and then anyone could have, into some, artifact trader, and anyone could have bought it before she did.
Yeah, I can see how the connection with her is there, but I don't see the connection to Stoner being part of this.
I do.
Okay, well, explain what you. The connection to Stoner that you see.
Remember, we find out later on that Stoner is empathic and has the ability to push his imprint, his will upon others.
Sure.
And you could easily foresee that he would ensure that the merchant didn't show this object or have this object available until the right time. That he would only. Yeah, I mean, there's certainly he had that ability.
Yeah. I'll stipulate that. But what's the connection that you see?
So
Stoner's motivation is in any way connected to Londo.
So if Psychor, or this element, this secret part of Psychor, whatever Bureau 13 or whatever we're going to call it, is connected to the Shadow. It's Shadow wants to cause great issues between both, right? So conflict in general. I mean, oh my gosh, this booby trapped item assassinated an ambassador, a Centauri ambassador.
If it was his wife, it wouldn't be that.
Yeah, but and then there's still going to be that suspicion, and then they could blame the Narns.
But if you want chaos, you need Londo to stir up more chaos, right? Because they're planning on doing something with the Emperor.
But see, whichever way it goes,
before he has the chance to do that, then you're kind of defeating.
They'd find another. Whichever way it goes, it doesn't. But
you've already got him, and he's already on halfway there. Why would you want to kill him and replace him with someone else? Let him do it first.
Stirring the pot.
You want your pot to get stirred first before you start throwing in. I mean, you're right. I think that he could have forced the other guy not to sell it and her to buy it, but we saw that he seems to need to be face to face to do his little tricks, and also we don't see anything suggesting that he's doing any of that. And I would think that if the show wants to get that across, they would at least give us a little bit of him staring at those characters or something.
Maybe I just went down a rabbit hole. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it could be true, but it's just, I think they would give us something, right? Maybe, I don't know. I think it's more she bought the artifact. She might have known that it was a Narn artifact and it could or was booby trapped, and hoping that Londo would be killed, and then she would get a third of the estate. I can believe that part, but I don't know that,
Do
she's
you
being
think Stoner knew it was booby trapped?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think he cared. He doesn't. I don't think he really cared one way or the other.
Interesting.
It's kind of
Yeah.
weird if he's. I mean, there was a little bit of questions there. Like Stoner's, he's obviously working for Psychor. He's doing something, and maybe he's just selling artifacts in order to keep money to keep up his facade of being free of Psychor. But it does seem weird that it's a Centauri artifact. He's on Babylon 5 at the right time. I mean, he's there to get Talia, right? Because they want more empath babies, hopefully. But
Well, that's the theory. Yeah, that's
it is kind of questionable. The other
is he with Psychor? Is he with this Black Op group, or is he with is he?
He's not with Psychor officially, but he is, and he's. I mean, the Black Ops.
But we know that he's we know he's a product of. I guess now we need to talk about him because we know he's a product of experimentation, and we had learned about the experimentation previously, with Talia's first love, the one that
Iron Horse.
that possibly enhanced her abilities beyond a P5.
Yeah,
possibly.
Definitely did.
I think so too. And they kind of hint at that at the end of that episode. But it's clear that he has with these abilities has the ability to affect members of Psychor and potentially Psychops as well. So he could have easily convinced them to let him go. That, oh, I don't have any powers. You don't have any powers. Kind of like the old Jedi mind trick. Is basically what he was pulling.
That's what I thought the storyline was going to be when I first saw this episode, was that he's like, yeah, I do have power. I tricked them all. I made them think I don't have any power, and they let me go and stuff. But obviously that's not it. But
well, they did do experimentation. They did enhance his abilities, and then suddenly he's able to, oh, look, I have no more powers.
They let him go because they wanted to keep him secret. If he's hanging around other
he's an associate
Psychor people,
yeah,
there might read his mind
Psychor.
and find out that they've done these sort of things. So they've sent him off, to lay low. They're going to bring him when they need him to, they probably, like a spy. He's doing missions for them every once in a while or whatever they want. And otherwise,
he's cocky as hell. The funny thing is
he's so cocky. And I want to mention that he's so cocky that's what makes me think he's definitely part of Psychor when they come and get him, because he's really cocky. He's like, yeah, you can't touch me. I don't really give a damn what you're going to say because I know I'm safe. And of course, they jump in right away. Now they could be jumping in because they're like, oh, we finally found our guy who's been missing, but I don't think so. They jumped in too fast. They already knew he was there. They knew what he was up to. When he gets caught, they come in to save him. And and do it as quickly as possible so that the littlest amount of information about him gets out.
It is interesting that Talia and Garibaldi kind of planned that confrontation, and there was 5 guys waiting outside the door at the end and said, yeah, and if any of the guys on the monitors see me seeing us being chummy, you're gonna get you're
Blasted.
gone. You're gone. Yeah. So but it is funny because Talia, he's able to even affect pretty fairly decent level psi levels, that he can influence. So maybe he's part of the problem, but I don't know. It does kind of make me second guess whether or not they're involved with the Shadow. But again, like I said, the Shadow, the best way to defeat your enemies is get them all to fight amongst themselves.
Well, believe it or not, as far as date-wise of air date, this episode will be the last of the first half of the second season, which is toward the end of December when it originally aired. And the next episode doesn't air until late January. There's a lot of between time, which is what was it? Race Through Dark Places, and then of course one of the important ones, the Coming of Shadows itself, is coming up now. And the second half of the season, this is where it ramps up. And you guys brought it before that you said that the Delenn part wasn't important.
I
think
never
it
said
is.
the Delenn part wasn't important.
I said it was an aside. It's kind of very minor.
It's
I
kind
I
of
think
side, very like.
Oh, he
I
meant
think it's
yeah.
building.
Yeah.
It's building to something, and it's giving us
It
good
is.
information.
It is very important because basically, look to the perspective of what's going on here. She's getting her hair done.
Yeah.
You
She's
know,
becoming
of course.
human.
Is she becoming more human? Is she becoming, because you notice how she's becoming less and less Minbari episode to episode since the beginning of the season. And you're seeing some of her own people that are like, what is she? You know, is she one of us anymore?
Right.
To that, which is very important to this plot line that's coming forward onto there, and see what is going to happen next in the second half of this season. You know, it's very, very important to that point on there. I just want to put that in there.
Yeah, they've already set that up, and so I think it's. I mean, I like the fact that they've already set it up that she's becoming human. She's getting questions from the Minbari. Now you're going to see her physically become more human and understand her human side, and I'm sure that's just going to exacerbate that problem.
And actually, Mern Furlong did not like the ending of this, where she says, "Well, I feel a little crampy." To that point, she asked Peter David, the writer, to remove that, and of course, he didn't remove it. To that point, and the other part of it is with Peter David, when he was writing the first treatments for this, a lot of them got denied by JMS. He said it was too Star Trek.
Well, that's interesting. Too Star Trek.
Yeah, too much like Star Trek. He went through like several
which some of these actresses were in some Star Trek.
Yeah, that's the funny part. Some of these people on there, they were on Star Trek.
Yep.
At certain points. In fact, not to take this away, I was just watching a movie today about the late night wars, and Peter Londo is in the movie itself, and he's playing Howard Stringer from CBS.
Interesting.
All right, Cam, what else?
Well, I wanted to note that I thought Jakar was off in this episode in his journey. I guess I'd say it was kind of a detour back to a older Jakar, where he didn't seem to have the burden of what's going on so much. He was kind of. I mean, he wasn't really like either of his kind of scheming Jakar. I mean, he was a little scheming, I suppose, but he was kind of to the side of it. But he wasn't really actively working to promote the Narn, and he wasn't actively working on the Shadow issue. So I think he was poorly presented in this episode. I think. I don't think this is a well conceived episode. I don't think it was poorly written necessarily, although Peter David, I think, isn't, again, he's passed away. So, I'm not intending to, go after him in that respect, but I think he thinks he's more clever than he is in his writing a lot of times. And it showed in this episode, like the last thing with the cramps thing.
Well, I thought that was kind of humorous, actually. I thought it was funny that it was like, and she's like, oh crap. Now it's like Susan's becoming, a second mother to Delenn in a way, and it is interesting that she feels secure in speaking with her of all people, not Talia, not any of the other, but. She takes Susan Ivanova into her confidence. So I loved the fact that we got to see in this episode almost all of the aliens. There's a few that were absent, but we saw all the majors, and and several of the minors.
I thought, yeah, what about? I wanted to ask about the reference to headaches that.
Yeah, that seemed like a kind of a cutesy thing to me. That's part of the issue I
There's no
had with it.
significance to that.
I don't think so.
He's just why is he have headaches? He's just sort of like he's off, like he's.
Yeah, well,
he is still shaken by the shadow, and maybe it's just every time he's around Londo.
I think he was speaking kind of metaphorically. It's like, yeah, when there's a thing that he can't figure out, it bears on him. That's I think all he was trying to say there. I don't think he was literally.
You don't think it was literal? I don't know.
I don't think so.
Any significance to? Well, I mean, Jakar is the only one who wears shoes to Lano's party. You're supposed to go barefoot. I guess maybe that. I don't know.
I did. I did like that. I liked when they pointed out. He's like, yeah,
I know.
Oh no, that's great. My great friend Jakar.
Yeah, and Lano doesn't care. So I mean, I took it as I guess there was no other significance than just the tit for tat going on.
He's trying to get on Jakar's nerves,
and you're wearing shoes.
And Lando's just too happy because he's getting his divorces. He's just too happy to care about it. So
yeah,
I guess
yeah, right, exactly. Londo was too elated at the divorce,
to care.
Yeah.
Surprised he didn't pass out on the table again.
Plus, he was passed on the table.
Well, no, yeah, I know what you're saying.
When he came back to, when he finally was recovering.
Yeah.
Did you guys like the Franklin telling him to stuff it?
No.
I
thought it was kind of.
Was it cutesy?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, let's throw in the doctor for just 3 seconds in this episode.
I think it was. The doctor, of course, knew, and he's bitching about the woman that just saved his life. So maybe he was kind of stick it.
Yeah, I can understand him, but it didn't. He didn't explain it to Londo because she didn't want him to, and so it just seemed like he just kind of came at him for no reason.
Yeah.
That didn't serve any purpose.
My point as well. I think that the dialogue is not good. He should have said something that would have something with a double meaning that would imply to Londo that, without telling him, that would imply to Londo that she had helped him, or that you're getting help from a place where you don't think that or someone that you have somebody that who does things for you and you don't deserve it, something like that. And I'm not sure what I would have, the dialogue would be, but just saying stick it, you'd be like, all right, well, the guy's pissed at me for something.
That's a quirky line. Was that big
anything.
in the 90s?
Be more.
I don't remember people saying stick it.
The lines gotta be. It's gotta be more subtle. It's gotta have layers to it. It's gotta imply, and it, stick it or stuff it or whatever it was.
It seems like it would have been if Franklin would have said something like, just kind of a little bit more introspective, like, things aren't always like they seem.
Yeah, that would have been better than stick it. Right?
Maybe
even that is very, that's a very much a very, basic aphorism or something. Like that's pretty. Even that's not that great, but it's a little better than what than stick it. Right? Things aren't always what they seem. That would at least have had him thinking. I just said something nasty about my wife, and then someone said things aren't always what they seem. Maybe he means her. I wonder what he's talking about. Right? That would have been better than what we got.
Well, here's a bit of a preview for one of the other wives, Mariella. She will be returning, not on the TV series, but in one of the novels in Beyond season 5.
So
we will If
The one
you
that
get the books,
the one that tried to kill him,
Yep.
or didn't,
she
depending on how.
returns. Yep, she returns for more trouble later on, but you'll have to read it in the books.
So maybe I'm not that far off that she was actually trying to kill him.
Well, I could tell you more,
She's-
but I'll
she's
give a
trouble.
lot away to see to the next couple of seasons if I did.
Oh yeah, well, let's not
Yeah, we don't wanna do
ruin that yet.
Yeah, it
I
kind of
just
ties
that's my running theory, and I'm doing it.
it kind of ties in on certain things that are forthcoming.
Yeah, at the very least, I think Jakar may have had some. It may not have been booby trapped initially, and Jakar had something to do with it getting booby trapped. That's a possibility.
All right. What, gentlemen, we've done over an hour. Is there any other things we want to talk? Major issues?
Well,
Do you
this
wanna
wasn't a major episode and stuff. Like I said, this is the mid-season finale, which basically they kind of, with this episode, the way it was written, it kind of was like, okay, we had to do it. We did some important things in character, narration, stuff like that. But all in all, it's like, it's all enough. But what we are going to expect in the next part of this season is really where we're going to be. The guns are out. The bat, we're ready. We're ready. Here it comes. This is where Babylon 5 starts to truly shine.
Yeah, well, you said mid-season. This is really a third of the season that we've hit at this point. You're talking about there being a break,
Yeah,
of
there's a
about
break.
6 weeks.
No break for us.
It's Christmas to after New Year's.
Yeah. Now the season actually runs all the way through the summer of next, of the same year. It's on a weird schedule, kind of.
Yeah, it's the new scheduling they were trying to play with back then in the 1990s with a lot of these shows.
Yeah, whereas a traditional one would be early September, late August through May or something, right?
September to May, yeah.
And this one's going November 94 to August of 95. But yeah, okay.
I got one thing to mention. I did notice that Garibaldi and Sheridan are wearing some, new dress uniforms, and those look pretty spiffy.
I'm some fancy
they
ones.
spent some money and they did it right. Like they actually look like, proper military uniforms. And
I think.
good.
Well, maybe that was their dress uniform, because was that at the party?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And after not just at the party, but post party where they, you got to run off from the party and do something.
Okay,
Yeah.
I actually had a question about the uniforms, but the regular daily uniforms, to me, and this might be because I'm watching it on a higher resolution than I had been, but it seems to me that do they usually have pockets on the breast pockets on the outside of their uniforms? Because they do in the ones in this episode, and I wasn't sure they had those prior to that.
That would be a madman question. I'll bet.
It varies depending on what episode you're talking to.
Or Outpost.
What it is, the costume design for the uniforms kept changing a lot, and they're going to change again. This is not the end of a change for that. To that
Well,
point.
the color codes kind of get mixed up too, I think, at some point.
At some point, and a complete drastic change later on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a couple of little things that I thought was interesting, because Stoner does say he actually does know the cure for the what the condition that people that have psionic abilities are.
Are you sure about that?
Well, he says, go ahead, check my mind. No barriers. I'm not going to stop you. Go ahead and check it. And maybe it was a trap, but I think,
I think he knows she won't check because she doesn't like him.
Maybe, but I think there may actually be a cure, and that it's been suppressed probably by the Psychops. They don't want people to know that there's a cure.
Rule number 1 with the Psychops: never trust the Psychops.
Right.
But you
Rule
know that
number-
he's
rule
not.
number
he wasn't
2.
there to-
Never trust the
See
side.
no. See rule number 1.
you know that
Exactly.
he wasn't there to get her to the cure. Like he's, he wants her to come back. They're going to breed more empaths. Which they
Well,
shouldn't
even if they took away her, even if he was able to cure, and I think he was trying to use that as one last, maybe I can get what I want, have my cake and eat it too, so to speak. And which failed because she's like, no, because I don't want, that's a part of me, and I don't want to give up a part of me, and I get that. I get where she's coming from. That's an ability that she's had, and that is part of her who she is. Her persona that she sees, and she would be just as bad off without that. Kind of like, almost like Susan's mother was when it was suppressed. Very, very much. But she also expressed that she doesn't trust the Psi Corps, or particularly the Psychops, but the Psi Corps in general. She. This is the first time I've really heard her express great disdain in the organization she's part of.
Well, yeah, she said she was scared of it as well.
Yeah, it scares the hell out of me. She said, so we heard 2 bad words, bitch and hell.
Well, I guess
I don't. The thing is that they
she
might
hasn't. Has she previously?
they might have told Stoner that they had a cure when they don't, and the fact that he's like he might believe it, which would mean she could scan him and think it was true.
But here's something that this is foreshadowing something else.
Okay,
Down
so
the
it is this whole potential for a cure.
Cure per se.
Okay. No, enough said. We don't want to spoil it for anybody. I'm sure the chat will go wild. And poor Snob will get obliterated in the comments for ruining everything.
Hasn't ruined anything.
I'm
not-
married. I'm used to that.
Not to belabor this. Did you guys comment about Garibaldi a lot in this?
Not a whole lot. Other than he's got an intuitiveness to him, but
And a thing for Talia, obviously.
Yeah, they're rehashing that a little bit, and Garibaldi, I thought he was presented okay in this. And it did imply that he was being manipulated a little bit there as well. I'm not sure what the purpose of that was. Why Stoner would want to antagonize him? How that would be benefiting him?
Well, and he was manipulating him without using his abilities.
Was he? Because Garibaldi mentioned that he's like, man, he's like, I couldn't explain it. He's like, I just lost it. So I think he was
Did he say that? I don't.
Yeah, he. I'm trying to remember the scene, but he did. Who was he talking to?
Well, we didn't see him lose it though, did we?
Well, yeah. When
it took him into the security office.
Yeah, and he grabbed him after he was. And you're right, Jeff. He was needling him conventionally.
Oh yeah.
But afterwards, he said something like he was describing his emotional reaction, and so I thought he was referring to that before they figured out what was going on.
See, I guess I attributed it to his. He views Talia as a friend, and he he feels obligated to protect his friends, just like he does the station in general, but especially his friends that might be vulnerable to certain things. And something about the guy, and I get that intuition. I understand that I get that feeling about people, and 9 out of 10 times there was a reason I had that feeling, and I related to it as him. Just he knew something was rotten with this guy. He just knew not because of any empathic influence or what have you. Yes, I don't think that was the best word for them to use either. And it was particularly considering that they had already introduced the concept of this in Star Trek Next Generation, and empaths tend to be passive. And maybe he's trying to delineate between this is not Star Trek. You know what I mean? Empaths can push their feelings upon people or push their will on people.
But you got to remember with the Psy-Corps, with Stoner's next level, Iron Horse, they're trying to pull a Doom. They're trying to breed the super being out of them. So basically,
they're trying to make a Khan.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They're trying to improve on themselves.
They want humanity. They want humanity
better than humanity.
The next evolution of humanity. Yeah.
Exactly.
And I did mention that it was, Stoner's ability was more like mind control, but it could be emotion control, right?
I think that's
whatever emotion onto those people, and then they go, "Oh, you want to feel nice towards me? Okay, I'll do what you say." So maybe empath isn't a horrible.
I think it was a bad choice of word to call him an empath.
Well, it could be if he's pushing his emotions on people, then maybe it fits sort of. But my first thought was it's mind control, but
I don't think it's direct mind control. Like no,
we don't really.
And can we seen the Psychops actually do mind control?
Well, no, I don't mean the Psychops. I mean just Stoner.
Psionic ability.
Yeah,
Stoner's different.
Yeah, but it's but the telepathy that they refer to is basically just reading thoughts. I mean, I don't know when they had the whole thing with the murderer.
They do the pain thing too.
Yeah, but it doesn't seem to be.
That's a mind wipe, though. Then that's also involves. That's not purely done with the psionic ability. That's a combination of psionic and technology.
And drugs and all kinds of stuff.
Remember, they hook him up to a thing and then they wipe his mind.
Yeah, I think the Jedi mind trick, the hypnosis thing is. I think this is the first time we've seen it.
Yeah. The question is, will it be the last time we see it? Or are we going to run into others that maybe have been enhanced like this?
We're not done with this story. So
yeah. I don't think so. I think this is just this is an introduction. This is a breadcrumb. And we were like, is there a trail here? I don't know.
As Jason previewed, we're going to see more about Psy-Corps next week.
Well, yeah, as Jason, spoiler Jason, that's what we're going to call him now. But
yeah, there's a lot more Psy-Corps stuff going.
No, I have to defend Jason. Jason's got a lot on his plate. And
yes, he does.
Been watching his videos, his live feeds the last couple of days. I said, I have a lot on my plate, and man, does he have a lot on his plate.
Yeah, I know he's worried about Mindy, and we all are praying for a good recovery for her because she is she is the heart of the program. She's the heart of his operation for sure. So some of us are just his minions, right, Cam?
Yeah.
Welcome with him, man.
And willingly so. Yeah. So yeah, I get it. No, I hopefully he watches this episode and can give us a 5-minute review next week. And then he can talk about the episode.
But I'll be ready in the background, ready to be tagged in. No.
All right, final ratings for the episode. Final thoughts, Jeff.
Oh, start with me, huh? I think this was probably a 7.5. It wasn't great. It was better than average. I think it was a little clunky in a couple of places. There's a couple of things that weren't quite explained out. We did get to learn more, of course, about Centauri. We got to see his wives for the first time. And now he's down to one wife, so now he's got room for, 2 others. Garibaldi likes the idea of the harem. He thought it was great. Lucky guy. Oh, if only you knew. Obviously, Garibaldi's not been married.
Hey, don't forget the love of his life.
Yeah.
Back.
Oh, yeah.
He said, come back to me. 'Cause, 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 he said, come back to
Yeah. But that's, like I said, I think it was 7.5, probably closer to the 7 mark.
All right,
That's my thought.
Madman.
Well, I have to go with about a 6.5 to 7 on this one. Some parts were good, some parts were like, okay, what are we where are we going on this? But all in all, the thing that gets me is that, like I said, this is a mid-season ender for this, where we have the break. They could have left off with a little bit more toward it, or left off with a cliffhanger, which normally that's what happens with a lot of these shows, that they end up
Mhm.
with a mid season. For example, I'm going to say Star Trek, when Picard was captured by the Borg, that was a mid season.
Dun 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 dun.
Dun, dun,
And
dun,
then
dun, exactly.
yeah. And we didn't have that. Yeah, this was
And we
definitely a complete episode, and no,
nope.
yeah.
I mean, we're coming back to a really good episode. The next two episodes are really, really good, but still, it's like we left off and like, wah, wah, wah.
Yeah, I think they don't really plan it as that, like they didn't look at it and go, oh, this is what's going to be at the break, let's make it a cliffhanger or something. They obviously just put it out there,
And maybe that's a party to syndication, as opposed to being a something that's regular broadcast expected. I don't know.
Well, that's why you readjust the schedule, and you move around the order sometimes just to balance that out.
Yeah,
It's happened before.
is that
I don't
anything
know.
else?
I won't. Yeah. What else you got, Madman? Anything?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, like I said, 6.5 to 7.
Yeah.
It's,
So you
it
and
is
I
that,
aren't too far off.
Cam.
Well, I'd say there's kind of two aspects. I think it was performed well, and again with Londo being probably one of the best on the show. So from that perspective, I would give it a higher rating. Maybe even an 8. But I think like I said earlier, the concept I think was rather weak in general, and I'm not impressed by Peter David's.
His writing.
Again, it's not the quality of the writing; it's the choices of the writing. I just don't think it was. I just don't like the choices. So I'm going to come in at a 6.5 kind of thing. I don't think this episode was terribly pivotal. I think as Madman points out, there's always something in an episode that's relevant, but when those things are footnotes essentially that could be presented differently, I don't love those episodes. So they kind of annoy me at this point. That's because I'm impatient and I want to, hit
That's
it
our
hard.
Cam.
Right. I mean, this is my pattern. So this is one of the episodes that kind of falls in that category of things I don't like generally. But it wasn't horrible. It's not like I disliked it watching it, except for a few little small annoyances. So, but yeah, I'm going to stick with the 6.5 kind of thing.
I'm going to agree with Cam's criticisms, but and also agree with Weatherman, and it was better than last episode. But yeah. I liked it more than it deserves because of the characters, because of the Londo is probably my favorite character. We get to see a lot about him. You see him developing a little more. We see Delin starting, the changes going on there. We see some Jakar, all those aspects. We see a hint with Psychor, a little bit about what's going on. Like I said, I agree with Cam that it could have been done better, but because those aspects, because they're favorites of mine, it makes me a little more feel a little more closer, a little more I don't know, to like the episode a little bit more than perhaps it deserves.
I will note that this is the 4th episode in a row not written by Straczynski, and I could see it drifting a little bit at this point. Not that he doesn't have any input in it, but I if I had to identify a pattern, I'd say that the Straczynski episodes are the ones that come across better in terms of the major storyline, which shouldn't come as any surprise, I guess, given that it's his story.
So, so I mean, liked it better than last week, and I like that aspects of it. But it's kind of Cam's you got criticisms that have been raised are I think pretty on the nose. All right. Shall we go to, gentlemen, we'll finish up the show, go to trivia questions and and this puppy?
Yep.
Yeah,
All
that's
right.
but
Just to add, the next 2 episodes is written by Michael Straczynski.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, the one of them is the season title episode. So
we're looking at
next episode is
Race Through Dark Places is next.
Yeah.
And then Coming of Shadows
Coming
is
of Shadows.
Yep.
And then GoPros is after that.
Yeah, and Coming of Shadows is the title for the season, right?
Gropo's a doctor episode.
I don't know.
Yeah, and I've when we first started the show, I started to watch as much as possible, and I've seen up to the next 2 episodes. That's it. After that, I am going in clean as well as Jeff is. So
Yeah.
it's coming up.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen the next 2 episodes, so
I already re-binged all the way back to 5. So.
Well, I'll be here next week. Let me see what's the dates here.
All right. Well, I'm going to go to the trivia.
Go
trivia
for the
time.
trivia.
All right, let's do the trivia. Okay, trivia for this episode. What condition is Jakar suffering from in the episode? I think I mentioned that. What is the order of marriage of Londo and his wives? I think I kind of talked about that.
Yeah.
But you got to figure it out. What makes Stoner unique? It's pretty obvious. How does Jakar insult Londo at his party? And what did Lanier give Londo as an Ascension Day present? We didn't talk about that, but it is a harken back to the Lanier Londo episode where they have a little bit of an interaction. It's pretty good though.
Yeah, and he even kind of spoils it a little bit.
Good stuff. Of course, he spoils it. Yeah. Does anybody have any Madman? Do you have anything coming up you want to mention?
Tomorrow, Taco Thursday will not be airing, unfortunately. We've had to go back and rewrite some things because of the insanity that we're dealing with the Visa MasterCard Steam situation. Also the UK censorship situation. We got a lot of stories coming up out of the UK, Australia, the Visa MasterCard straight out of Japan. Lawsuits are coming already. The trying to remember the lawyer here in New York. He is lining up a lawsuit against the Ofcom in London right now. So there is going to be now, because there are threats from the UK to come after Americans for violating a British rule to that situation. I don't know how that's going to work, but the thing about it is now we got a lawsuit on this end on there to fight back against Ofcom.
Good thing we're not subject to British law here, huh?
Well, they're trying to. They've made the threat. They've made the threats.
I have my Second Amendment handy. Good luck.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Sorry.
Right, Jeff.
Let's see. I was going to say I will be here next week. The following week I probably won't be here because I'm going to be in Huntsville at the Huntsville Ham Fest. So I don't know if there's any other hams out there, but if you've never been to the Huntsville Ham Fest, it's really cool. It's the 3rd largest ham fest in the country, and it's kind of cool. Basically, for those of you who don't know, it's basically like a con but for ham radio, and a lot of all the ham radio YouTubers are going to be out there. So I may actually have some stuff going up on my my Ham Radio Rejects channel after that. I'm gonna try and get some footage and different stuff from the event, and so it'll be kind of I like it. James Caserta just said, yeah. But at any rate, it's a great time. It's basically a big flea market with a bunch of vendors. You know, it's essentially just like I said, it's a con for ham radio operators. So if you're into radio and you're near Huntsville, check it out. It's really cool.
That should be something I should involve myself in, but I completely suck on the radio front. So,
yeah, too bad you do, Cam.
yeah.
Now, let me just interrupt. The lawyer is Ronald Coleman, who has a YouTube channel.
Oh, cool. Cool.
Cam.
Absolutely nothing but soul draining, typical stuff. And Top Lofty Lounge on Sunday.
That's right.
Which I don't know what we're doing, but we'll figure it out.
Well, I can watch all 5 episodes of Superman, or all 5 movies of Superman, and we could talk about the. Oh wait,
we already did that show.
We just did that.
It's supposed to be Wall of Shame, but
are we gonna do the Wall of Shame? I would be happy to show my Wall of Shame.
You got to send pictures. So anybody, if you want to. Wall of if you jump on the Discord, we are doing the Wall of Shame. So that is, all the sort of things, your nerd habit, things that you spend too much money on and have too many of, and don't get to use. That's why they call it a Wall of Shame. Take a couple pictures, no more than 5, throw it in the Discord, and I'll put them together in the slideshow, and we'll Cam and I will go over ours, and yours too if you send it in. Poor James. When can I expect feedback, guys, on his story?
Did he post? He posted that in the Discord, right?
I think he did a link to it. I'm trying. We're trying.
I'm going to take lots of pictures, though. See, that's the problem. Maybe I'll get video.
Yeah.
Join the Discord. I dropped the link.
Yeah, that's our plan for this show. Next week is which one is it? The
one that Jason watched.
Race Through Dark Places.
Race Through Dark Places. It involves Psycor, and Bester is back, so that should be a good one. I've seen this episode. I like this one. I think it's good. Yeah. And what else is coming up from the future? I think that's it. Next week's, the Top Lofty Lounge. Yeah, that's about all that's going on. I think. Yeah.
All right. I think it's a wrap, man.
Yeah.
My Wall of Shame is packed away. If you've got pictures of it, I mean, you don't have to have it on.
Just take a picture of the totes, and it's extra shameful.
That's true. Yeah, and maybe the idea was you take a picture of your Wall of Shame, and maybe a couple of your favorite pieces, whatever they would be. I'm going to do a couple of my favorite board games. That's my Wall of Shame, is board games, and some of the ones I haven't even played yet. But it can be Lego, it can be whatever it happens to,
whatever your nerd fandom is.
Talk about it. Yeah, whatever your nerd thing is.
I got lots of hand gear, so I suppose I could take pictures of that too.
Yeah, you don't have to give me feedback. But I want to, James. If you want the feedback, I want to give it to you. I just gotta put aside the time to read it. But your story's not too long, so it shouldn't be too bad. Keep bugging us. I don't feel bad that you're bugging me. I should have.
No, keep it up. We need to bug Snob.
I feel bad that I haven't done it. And like I said, I would, and I want to. So,
and other folks, go check it out.
You're not wrong for giving me the gears about it and stuff. All right. Okay, good. Anything else? That's it. All right. Video games and manga books. Yeah, of course. That would include all that, comic books, whatever it is, whatever it may be. Send it to me on the, send me up to 5 pictures on the Discord. Just send it to me personally, or put it somewhere,
just post it,
and I'll put them together. All right. Okay, that's it, gentlemen. Good show. I hope everybody enjoyed it, and let's.
We're gonna roll the outro.
Let's roll the outro. All right. Here we go. Good night, everybody.
Good night. Thanks for coming.
Good night.
If I can get it to work.
If you can find the button, push the button there, Snob.
Here it goes. Good night, everybody.